Hey, party people. This video is going to be a twofer. Number one, we are going to go deep dive into the world of tints, shades, and tones. Number two, we're going to test out this new to me brand of gouache called Knicker. It's a Japanese brand, as far as I can tell. They're made in Japan. Maybe, maybe not. And I got this set when I was in Japan last June, May and June. And I have yet to test them. I kind of forgot about them. Uh, good job, Zoe. Good job. And I was cleaning and sorting and stuff, and then I found them, and I'm like, yeah. So anyway, I know I'm the worst. Wow, this yellow ochre is like dripping stuff all over the place. That was pleasant. Anyway, yeah. So we are going to play around with tint shades and tones and play around with these gouaches. So this will be a color theory study meets product review video. Whoop whoop. I am what am I using? Arches watercolor paper. It's my favorite brand of watercolor paper. And right now I'm just testing the gouache opacity. I just drew a line with pencil and I'm laying down bits of each color as opaquely as possible. And, you know, for the most part, you're not going to get it to cover pencil except for your darkest colors. Like this is Prussian blue I'm using right now. Yeah, that'll cover the lead, but I'd be very surprised if the yellow and the orange and similar light colors covered up the pencil, but you can see it covers some of it. So you can kind of see the opacity there. And I imagine if I went back and put in a second layer, I would be able to cover it. But I always work under the supposition that gouache is not going to cover pencil, and I work around that, okay, when I'm painting. Tints are color plus white. With watercolor, there are two ways that you can create tints. You can add water to your color, or you can add white to your color. Right now, I am using the French red, which is a really nice red-orange shade. And I am just using wet on wet technique to create tints. Now, wet on wet technique is wet things on top of other wet things. So what I did was I just laid down some water on my paper and then I added the paint before the water dried. The thing with wet on wet technique is just because you can't see the initial layer of water doesn't mean you can just put water anywhere, because the paint will go wherever the water is, right? And so you have to limit your water to where you will eventually want color later. Okay, so I limited it to the pencil box that I drew, and then I put my paint, and I'm having a good old time here. These are actually my favorite kind of videos to shoot. These sort of like relaxing, kind of inconsequential painting things. I have a lot of fun with these. The other way you can create tints with watercolor is to mix the color with white. The tint that you get, okay, the paint color you end up with, will depend also on the kind of white you use. The white that I'm using is this, the white that came in the set, which is zinc white. And as you can see, it is a tiny bit on the cool side. Do you see how it is making the red orange a little bit cooler tone than when I was just mixing the red orange, the French red with water? And you can see the other half of the bar is warmer red oranges. You're going to see me do this kind of weird thing where I'm mixing the color on the paper And I only do that for these kinds of exercises. And also, if I were to do this for this demo, I'd run out of palette. But normally I do mix my color completely in the palette and not, adding paint separately to my paper and then mixing it on the paper. Okay? So yeah, the zinc white that this kit has, it's a little bit on the cool side, which isn't bad. It's just something that you need to be aware of so that when you're working with it, that helps you make informed decisions on paint mixing. Now we're going to paint some shades, and shades are color plus black. And the black I have in this set is ivory black. And just like whites, blacks have their own coolness or warmness to it. And, the Winsor Newton set of gouaches, they have jet black, ivory black, lamp black. And, you know, every brand has their own way of naming things. One brand's ivory black is not the same as another brand's ivory black. So keep that in mind when you're shopping. But color plus black. So again, I'm using the French red and mixing it up with black. When I'm reaching to my left on the screen, that means that I'm reaching for my water jars. Normally, I would have the water on my right-hand side too, but just kind of my studio setup right now kind of makes things difficult. Spoiler alert, I am really enjoying these gouaches. Okay. At this point, I remember when I was painting, because this is my first time playing with them. I remember at this point, I'm like, I think I actually like these better than the Holbeins. So if you recall, if you watched my Japan haul from last year, I bought several sets of gouache tester sets. And I bought the Holbein and I've used them a lot. I really enjoy them. But now that I'm testing out this brand, the Knicker brand, I really like them. I like them better than the Holbein, I think, a little bit. Like the Holbein has like a touch of plasticiness to it, whereas this doesn't. Okay. This actually feels more like the Winsor & Newton, and I might like that more because I'm just used to the Winsor & Newton, but these work really well. Right now, I am using, what am I using? Viridian Lake, okay, which is this nice blue-green color, and creating shades with it. I'm doing these examples for you so that you guys can get a starting idea as to what shades and tints and tones look like and how they compare to each other. But please do go through your own paints and start mixing up your own tints and shades and tones. All right, because you have different blacks, you have different whites, you have different colors. They're all going to look slightly different, but it's up to you to explore and examine what adding different colors do. Like this is just a little bit of that yellow, the chrome yellow with the ivory black. And because the ivory black is a little bit on the cool side, it's starting to turn my chrome yellow a tiny bit green as I create shades. These are the kinds of things I want you to observe with your own paints. It's like, oh, when I add this black, does it make it cooler, warmer, neutral? Do I not even notice? Do I need more practice looking at colors? Probably. And here I am mixing orange and black, and it's starting to look brown. Yes, that is kind of the basis of brown is orange and black is a good place to get started. This is the Knicker Chrome Orange with the ivory black. Here's the same orange with a little bit less black, a little bit more, it's not quite pumpkin pie. Pumpkin pie is a little bit more golden, right? And now I'm mixing up 3 different grays to play around with tones. Now, tone is color plus gray. But that could mean a lot of things. You could have light grays, dark grays, French grays, neutral grays, cool grays, warm grays. Yeah, so many grays, right? You've seen those marker brands. Every marker brand has a multiple sets of different shades of gray. You know, as I mentioned before, I'm just using the set. And so I'm getting a rather cool gray from this ivory black and zinc white. So I mixed up 3. And now I'm going to keep mixing them up with the French red from before so we can get a true comparison. And the colors are going to change a lot depending on, of course, what gray you use, which is important because it depends on the initial value of the color. This red orange, it's a medium value. It's a medium dark color. Remember, value is the lightness or darkness of a color. And this red is a medium value. Okay, it's not super light like the yellows, and it's not super dark like blue. It's a medium value color. And so when you add the light cool gray, you're going to end up with a lighter color than before, and it's going to be duller. And of course, the more gray you add, the duller and grayer it gets. But see, with the red orange and with the light gray, you get this sort of mauve color. It's cooler than the original red orange, and it's much lighter than the original red orange. This middle one, the second one I'm doing, is red orange with the medium gray. And because they're similar in value, the gray is a little bit darker, but they're closer in value, the color ends up being more similar. Now you see that it's a duller, richer, more brown version of the red orange, but it's closer than the lighter one because the values were closer. This third one, I'm using the darkest gray, and you will see as I finish mixing up this bar, the difference between the shades and the tones. Even now, when you look at the second one, it is darker than the initial red orange, but it's browner and duller than the shades. The shades give kind of like a rich, kind of keeping the intensity of the red orange, but the tones tone things down. Haha, maybe that's where those words come in handy. See, they tone things down, they dull things down, and because of the white in there, things look a little bit creamier than a straight shade. And now I'm going to do the tones with that blue-green, the Viridian Lake color. And again, the light gray is much lighter in value than the original blue-green color. And so it's going to be very different. I used a little bit less than the red-orange experiment, but it still significantly lightened up the blue-green. And it's duller. Okay? You see that creamy sort of overall quality to it. Here's the middle one with the middle gray. And again, this is a little bit lighter still than the green, but again, it is a closer value match. So again, still looks more similar to the original green than the first tone. But again, it's got that creamy, sort of dulled down look, more neutral. Okay? And this is how you start creating more neutral colors. Okay, we're gonna keep going with the next video where I deep dive into mutes. But yeah, this is how you start developing softer, duller, more neutral colors. And then this third one is with the dark gray, and it is the closest value match to the green out of the 3. So this is the least different, but it's still a little bit darker, a little bit duller. So, again, go through your paints, mix up some grays. And here is orange with gray, and here is orange with light gray. And you can see how these colors, they ended up looking brown also, are a little bit different than the first two I painted, the little dabs with the black. A little bit duller, a little bit creamier. The ones with black, just they still retain more oranginess. Now I'm playing around with their yellow ochre. So yeah, all these things that I've been discussing, they also pertain to tubes of paint that started off with more neutral colors. I'm playing with the yellow ochre, and now I'm creating shades of yellow ochre with the black. And then I'm going to show you tones with the yellow ochre so that you can see the difference. And this is how you're going to, uh, in the future, this is how you're going to use the information. When you need a color, you're going to think back to these experiments you did and was like, oh yeah, I need to match this fabric color. It's purple. It's a little bit duller than your standard bright purple. I would take this, maybe mix a straight purple and be like, all right, this one is a little duller. Okay, darker and duller. So maybe I add a dark gray to it. Okay, you take these experiments off of this video and apply it to future color mixing experiments. Okay, here I am mixing some water with yellow ochre, so you get to see what those tints look like. And you'll see later on when you have, an off-white color, beigey colors, and you're like, oh yeah, I've made that color before. Oh yeah, it's just yellow ochre and white. And now I'm mixing up yellow ochre with grays, and I'm creating these really gorgeous khaki colors. These colors that you couldn't get with the black. The black with the yellow ochre were creating more cool browns, whereas now with the gray, with the cool gray, you're getting things a little bit green. You're getting. I'm actually really liking these colors. These kind of dark khakis, medium khakis, with the yellow ochre and the various values of grays that I mixed before. When I'm experimenting, I tend to keep things kind of more orderly so that it stays locked in my mind. Like, this is what happens when you add black, and this is what happens when you add water, which is weird. It's like orderly experimentation. That's just straight up burnt sienna from the tube. I just wanted to show you how, you know, now you know kind of the origin of burnt sienna. So yeah, final thoughts on that gouache. I really like this gouache. I'm going to be painting with these like in the future. Like my next time-lapse paintings will probably be using this brand. I am enjoying it a lot. If that changes, I will let you know. But for now, I'm really digging it. I really encourage you guys to experiment with paints and mix your own colors, and playing with paints and mixing paints and figuring out how these work together will also help you figure out how to get the correct colors when you're working in Photoshop and Illustrator, and also when you're working with other media. So, hashtag always be practicing, hashtag practice not magic. We are not made of magic, we are made of practice. So go practice, and I will see you in the next video. Oh yeah, don't forget to like and, share, subscribe. Oh, all that good stuff. The regular sound off stuff, right? Have a great time practicing, and I will see you in the next video.